If you've ever sat in a meeting, maybe across the table from someone, and it felt like you were just completely missing each other, like speaking different languages.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That kind of personality mismatch, it creates this immediate friction, doesn't it?
It really does. It's frustrating. And yeah, often it feels totally unavoidable. Okay, let's unpack this, because our deep dive today is all about making those clashes, well, avoidable. We're digging into the framework behind the What's My Style personality assessment. And the mission here is really to show you how understanding just 4 basic behavioral styles can fundamentally change how you interact with people, how you can move past that conflict and, get into real effective collaboration.
Yeah, this is really about the practical psychology of the workplace. I mean, we know strong relationships are absolutely key for success. They boost productivity. They definitely improve communication and really enhance engagement. But these personality clashes, they're like grit in the gears, just slowing everything down. So this framework, it gives you a language, a way to understand those differences. It's about self-awareness, sure, but maybe even more about knowing how to adapt your own behavior so you can connect effectively with, well, pretty much anyone.
Right, and that's the big promise here, isn't it? That these differences, they don't have to derail productivity or relationships. It's not just about sticking a label on yourself. It's more about giving you actionable tools, techniques to bridge those gaps, improve collaboration, boost performance, at every level.
Exactly. And just to give it some context, this What's My Style assessment, it's part of HRDQ's bigger style suite.
Yeah.
So it's not just a standalone thing. It's really a foundation piece. The suite has other related tools like communication style, leadership style, learning style. But What's My Style gives you that core understanding of just, well, innate behavioral preferences.
Mm.
And while, yeah, it's often used in things like management development training, honestly, it's essential for anyone just looking for personal growth, better people skills.
Okay, so before we dive into the actual styles, there are 4 of them, right?
That's right. 4 core styles.
Before we get there, let's just quickly touch on what you, the listener, actually get out of this. What are the learning outcomes?
Good point. The framework is really designed to help you first pinpoint your own preferred style. That's the starting point. But the real power, I think, comes from seeing how that style actually dictates your actions day to day, and then recognizing the strengths, and maybe more importantly, the weaknesses of all 4 styles, not just your own. And finally, the most critical part, mastering specific ways to interact, to manage and adapt to those different styles effectively.
Okay, so it's about self-knowledge and practical application with others.
Precisely. And the assessment itself, getting that initial style, it's designed to be pretty efficient. It's quite concise, takes maybe, 10 minutes? Roughly. And the method is interesting. It's straightforward but quite insightful. You get 18 pairs of adjectives, and for each pair you have to distribute 5 points between the 2 words, based on how much you feel each word describes your typical behavior.
Okay, so it's not just a simple this or that choice. You have to weigh them, allocate points. That's clever, actually, because behavior isn't usually black and white, is it? It's more nuanced.
Exactly, it forces that nuance. And that subtle scoring, that's what reveals your dominant preference.
Yeah.
Could be for one style, or sometimes you might see a blend of a couple of them. And now here's where it gets really interesting. The 4 styles themselves.
Yes, let's get into the core of it.
Yeah.
What are the 4 styles?
Okay, the 4 styles are direct,
Okay.
spirited,
Spirited, interesting.
considerate,
Right.
and systematic.
Direct, spirited, considerate, systematic. Okay. But just hearing the names doesn't tell you much, right? Like,
Correct.
what does direct actually look like in a team meeting?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
The names are just labels.
Yeah.
We need to unpack the behaviors.
Yeah.
If we look at their primary focus,
Yeah.
like what really drives each style, that's where the differences become really clear.
Okay, so let's start with direct. What's their driving force?
Results. Plain and simple. The direct style is all about achieving the outcome. They tend to be fast-paced, very task-focused, decisive, often quite competitive. They value action, control, getting things done. So in that meeting you mentioned, the direct style wants the bottom line. Now, they generally don't need a lot of small talk or long-winded explanations, just the conclusion.
Right, so if you're dealing with the direct style, rambling on with background details before getting to the point is probably going to drive them nuts.
Instantly, yeah. That's often their perceived weakness, a lack of patience, maybe perceived insensitivity. They can come across as abrupt, maybe even a bit blunt. But it's because their focus is just laser sharp on the goal, on getting there quickly. Best way to work with them, give them the goal, then get out of the way.
Okay, direct is clear. Next up, spirited. That sounds energetic? Maybe the life of the party type.
Definitely energetic. The spirited style is driven primarily by influence and recognition. They want to persuade, to be liked, to be seen. They are often enthusiastic, creative, really dynamic. They prioritize building relationships, but through excitement and, energy, they thrive on attention, approval. They're often the idea generators, the ones who can really motivate a room, get people excited.
I can already picture the potential clash. Imagine a spirited person bouncing into a direct person's office with this big, amazing, fun-sounding idea.
And the direct person just cuts them off asking for the delivery date and the budget.
Exactly.
And that highlights the spirited style's potential weakness. They can sometimes struggle with follow-through with the details. They might seem disorganized, maybe talk a lot, jump between ideas or projects without finishing. So if you need meticulous planning or structure, maybe not your first call. But for energy, vision, getting things started, absolutely essential.
Okay, that makes sense. So direct is results, spirited is influence. What about considerate? Sounds like the team player.
That's a great way to put it. They absolutely are the team players. The considerate style is all about support, collaboration. Their main motivation is inclusion, security, making sure everyone feels okay. They tend to be a bit slower paced, definitely people-focused, excellent listeners. They prioritize team harmony, sometimes even over individual results. They really want consensus. They're crucial for maintaining team morale, building trust within a group.
So totally different from the direct style who wants to just cut to the chase. The considerate style wants to make sure everyone's on board, feeling heard first.
Precisely. But that leads to their potential downside, conflict avoidance. Because they value harmony so much, they might really resist decisions that could upset the balance or, hurt someone's feelings. They might struggle to push back even on a bad idea just for fear of causing friction. So interacting with them effectively means giving them time to process and making sure their feelings and the team's feelings are acknowledged and validated.
Okay, and the last one, systematic. What's their driving force?
Logic, accuracy, data. The systematic style is analytical, highly focused on facts, precision. They value adherence to established rules, standards, processes. They're usually quite deliberate, cautious. Their pace is often slower, but it's because they need time to gather all the information, analyze it thoroughly before making a decision or taking action. Quality and expertise are paramount for them.
Got it. So where the spirited person might just jump in and wing it,
Right.
the systematic person needs like 3 different data sources, a detailed process map, and probably a risk assessment before they even consider starting.
That's a perfect description. And the challenge there, the potential weakness, is they can sometimes get stuck. Analysis paralysis. They might also appear a bit cold or detached simply because they prioritize objectivity and data over emotional connection or social niceties. So, if you want to connect effectively with a systematic person, you need to bring your facts, be organized, show your proof. Emotion or enthusiasm, pretty much irrelevant to them.
Wow, the contrast is really stark when you lay them out like that. You can imagine a scenario, right? A big deadline is suddenly moved up. The direct person is immediately barking orders. Action, now.
Mm-hmm.
The spirited one suggests, let's have a quick, fun brainstorm to get energized.
Yeah, find the positive spin.
The considerate person is quietly worrying. But is the team okay? Are we pushing them too hard?
Checking on the people aspect.
And the systematic one is already pulling up the original project plan saying, wait, according to Section 4, subparagraph B, this deviates from the agreed procedure.
Huh. Yes, that illustrates it perfectly. And that is exactly why adaptation is so crucial. It's not optional, really. The core takeaway isn't just identifying yourself, figuring out my style. That's step one. It's learning to spot these behavioral cues in other people and then consciously adjusting your own approach. Like you wouldn't try to motivate that systematic person with raw enthusiasm and high fives, right?
No, that would probably just annoy them.
Exactly. You motivate them with clear, logical benchmarks, measurable progress, data.
So let's talk about application. Once you have this foundational understanding, this style awareness, where does it actually get used? It sounds like it could plug into almost everything.
It really does. My style is very often used as that foundational piece, the starting point for a whole range of soft skills training. We see it integrated heavily into communication training, for example. How does a naturally considerate person give tough feedback to a direct boss? That kind of thing. It's vital in leadership development, helping, say, a highly spirited manager understand why some of their team members crave more structure and detail. And yeah, it's pretty fundamental for team building workshops, supervisory skills training. It pops up everywhere.
And it's important to stress this isn't some flimsy made-up quiz you find online. You mentioned it has solid academic grounding.
Absolutely critical. That's what gives it reliability and validity. The model was developed by Dr. Eileen M. Russo. She has significant expertise in translating solid research into practical workplace tools. She was actually the former VP of R&D for HRDQ, and her background is impressive. A PhD in social psychology with a minor in organizational behavior from the University of Pittsburgh.
That specific blend, social psychology and organizational behavior, seems really important here, doesn't it?
It really is. It means the model bridges that gap between individual psychology, how people think and feel, and how those tendencies actually play out in real-world work situations, in organizations.
Right, the practical manifestation.
Exactly. Her specific research areas included things like social influence, how groups behave, decision-making processes, even perceptions of control in the workplace. So that background ensures the model isn't just based on anecdote. It's thoroughly researched, it's reliable, it's validated. It connects individual psychological patterns directly to observable, even measurable group dynamics. It means when the assessment suggests someone has a direct preference, it actually predicts their likely behavior with a decent degree of accuracy because it's rooted in psychological science.
So tying this back to you, the listener, the ultimate goal then is developing the ability to consciously flex your style. Like, you might be naturally considerate, very focused on harmony, but if you're interacting with a strongly direct personality, you need to intentionally adapt, maybe move a bit faster, state the conclusion or request upfront, and perhaps save the relational check-in for a bit later.
That's exactly it. That intentional adjustment, the flexing you mentioned, that's the leap from just awareness to actual skill. It's where the rubber meets the road. There's actually a companion resource for this assessment, a book called Personality Style at Work, and it really drills down into this. It's where you learn the specific tactics, how to adjust your tone, your pace, the kinds of information you prioritize for interacting with each of the four styles. So, for example, if you're naturally very systematic, the book helps you remember that your spirited colleague might actually need to talk about the fun or exciting aspects of a project, not just the logical steps, to stay engaged.
It really paints a much broader picture than just, say, handling difficult conversations. It implies that our underlying personality style is kind of like this hidden engine constantly driving our professional lives.
I think that's a great way to put it. It really is. If we pull back and look at the bigger picture, this is the so what does this all mean?
Yeah.
Moment, right?
Great.
The companion book really emphasizes this point. Your style is far more pervasive than just how you interact with your current team members. It genuinely influences how other people perceive you, your competence, your approachability. It also unconsciously steers the kinds of careers, the types of industries you naturally find appealing or comfortable. It affects the very methods you rely on to make decisions, big and small. And fundamentally, it determines the way you lead or influence others. It shapes your entire professional identity, often without you even realizing it's happening.
Wow. So it's like this constant, quiet undercurrent beneath all our major career moves and interactions.
Absolutely, a powerful, often invisible force. So for you, our listener, maybe here's the final provocative thought to kind of mull over after this discussion. We've established that your inherent personality style plays this really significant, almost foundational role in the career choices you tend to make and the way you approach making decisions. So given that, take a moment and reflect on your own professional path, your current job, maybe your team, the industry you're in. How much of that trajectory do you think is a direct result of that inherent, maybe unconscious style preference pulling you in a certain direction versus how much was a fully deliberate, conscious, maybe even objective choice you made independent of that style, that intersection where your inherent style meets your external decisions? That's a really fascinating space to explore further for yourself.